Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, May 6, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Charles Johnson Sr. with the Mount Zion Community Church and Boutique.
Let us pray. Father God, we give thanks to you once again for another opportunity to call upon your holy and righteous name. We come tonight, Lord, asking you, Lord, to look down upon every petitioner, Lord, and look down upon our councilmen, Lord, if they deal with the agendas set before them tonight. We pray that for your leadership, your guideship, Lord, and for, Lord, your spiritual insight into their minds today, Lord, to make righteous decisions. We thank you for the opportunity that you've given us here in St. Charles Parish, Lord, to be able to, Lord, to have councilmen, Lord, and council persons, Lord, that do your will and do it your way. We ask you, Lord, continue to protect them and keep them, Father God, in all things. In the name we pray, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Johnson. All righty, approval for the regular meetings. April 15, 2024. I need a motion and a second, please, to approve the minutes from the regular meeting. I have a motion by Ms. Skiba, second by Mr. Carmadell. Please cast your votes. Mr. Daniels. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Reports, finance, administrative activities, 2024-0160, Department of Planning and Zoning, CZM. Mr. Albert.
Good evening, Parish Council, Parish President Jewell. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here representing the Department of Planning and Zoning. We are the department that is responsible for land use, coastal management, code enforcement, and permitting. And I'll just take a moment and state, I think this is the 10th time that I've done this report at this point, so I'm not sure if it's like SNL where you get like part of a special cast or not, but I'll take it if it's there. Late 2022, President Jewell asked what our plan was for the coming year, and coming out of several large projects and Hurricane Ida, we kind of looked inward and focused on training. 2023 was our training year. We doubled the number of certified floodplain managers in our office. We hosted in-house training for our code enforcement and permit folks, bringing in our software technicians to get them fully fluent in everything they were doing with the software. And our planning division went to the state planning conference. It was the first time since the pandemic, which was a good experience for learning and everything there. Our organization is really 4 different small departments all put together. So we have really a stratified series of divisions, each reporting up through an administrator. Because these things are different enough that they do have completely different workflows. This is the way that we keep things sorted, make sure the trains run on time, and the reports get to your desks, Michelle's desk on time. Let's see. For construction permitting, in 2023, we're starting to really see things return to normal in terms of development. One of the things, the trends we were seeing in terms of numbers was that the permit requests were still up, but what we were seeing was much more interest in trade and renovation and accessory stuff. So people's houses were coming together, the reconstruction was done, and they were tinkering and fixing things that weren't major construction following the storm. We still sit as the chair for the Building Code Council, so we have a decent amount of sway when it comes to South Central and the various participating agencies in that group that regulate the regional building code. Subdivision activity. During last year, we saw a dedication of Heather Oaks Phase 2. It's 80 additional lots, and we currently have 2 two under construction review, Almedia Gardens in St. Rose, and River Place Phase 2, and as of today, they got their notice to proceed on construction. We had 4 major subdivisions that were under preliminary plat review last year. I know there's 3 up there, but one of them, River Place Phase 2, moved into a different category, but they still spent a good portion of the year under review at that point. Land use applications have stayed fairly steady over the past few years. We've seen a spike in variances from 2020 on. We're starting to take a look at that, trying to understand why, and seeing if there's anything we can do or tweak in the code to adjust that. It's usually a number you want to keep lower. We have an idea on what's going on there, but that's something that we will probably be bringing to you in the next couple months. Code enforcement. This is really the area that we probably have the most interaction with both the council and the public at large, both from taking in complaints and working with people to get remedies on their properties. We are really moving out of the shadow of Ida at this point. The number of cases that have moved to legal is now greater than what we have in-house. We work with Corey's department on a daily basis. Most of these things are moving towards resolution. I'm sure you've seen in your own neighborhoods, even the last remnants from Ida, the RVs are starting to move out. These are all closing up. And I think we have pretty good response times on the questions that get brought to us. And I know I can tell you for a fact there's a lot more cleaned up properties now than there were a year ago or 18 months ago. In addition to this, I'll add, we've got the legislative committee meeting coming up for the Highway 90 overlay zone. In the past, the council has had questions about code enforcement on commercial property. And one of the challenges that we have is something of a longstanding issue with established site plans on commercial property moving into the future and how much enforcement we have on those. That's something we're actively going to try to address. So some of the issues that Councilman Fisher has brought to me and others about commercial properties and dumpsters and maintenance and tree preservation on these properties, we're going to have a mechanism to deal with that in the future if it meets your needs coming out of that meeting. Coastal zone. The parish, we got our program into effect in 2017. And in the past year, we processed 11 local permits. It's a lot to be said for a resident that doesn't have to go to Baton Rouge for one of these things, something we're able to review in-house and handle it for them there. We are also using that autonomy to help keep these decisions, I say local, I'm repeating myself, but moving on from that, Earl is moving on from the division this year. He's intending to retire, and Marnie Stein is with me tonight. Stand up. Yeah, she's our new coastal zone management administrator. She's going to be stepping into those duties. We're going to. It's a long-standing change for the department, but we're working to kind of reevaluate what's been done in the past, check up on our obligations, and make sure that we're able to articulate them both to the public and you going forward. In terms of projects, the annual Christmas tree project remains going, which is creating small instances of improvement and replenishment, and the larger La Branch wetland project is underway at this point, and it's going to provide significant marsh replenishment in the future. As a side note to this, on June 22nd, we are having a courtesy review with regards to our CRS rating. So they're going to come in, take a look at what we've done in the past couple of years prior to our actual scoring next year and give us information that we can use to correct or continue on with the things that are already getting us credit. In closing, I just want to thank you all for the support and your patience with us as we deal with these complicated regulatory issues. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. And again, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michael, with regards to IDA and removal of the RVs. Does that effort include the storage containers? I know that many people stored their belongings in while they were remodeling their homes. They may have some that are still in driveways and such.
Yeah, it's, in some degree, that's going to be a case-by-case basis, but yes, and that's more of our code enforcement efforts. They're not allowed, basically, by code, and we allow for people doing renovations to utilize those. But as we've been checking up on them, if the renovations have stopped, we've been issuing letters of violation for those things.
And is there a push at the state level to pull back on the local permitting for coastal?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PO 133 was an adjacent tract on the Marsh Reclamation in La Branch. Has that been combined with PO 75? Because I only see PO 75 listed here. Would you know?
I don't know offhand. I'll have to ask Earl on that, but I'll find out for you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jewell.
Michael, thank you for everything that you and your office do on a daily basis. I know it's a tough job going out and enforcing the code, and it's not certainly a fun thing to do, but I think that the proof is in the pudding. You see the number of cases resolved. You see properties getting cleaned up. IDA put us kind of on our back foot when it came to that. We had got a lot of work done prior to that. One of the things that I know we talked about, and I just saw this on the way here, and I wanted to get it off my brain so I could tell you, we reached out to Walmart after IDA, after Entergy came in and cut all the trees down. And then I had messaged you that I saw them planting trees, but then someone has come and removed all the trees again. So I don't know what is going on with them, but we need to just reach back out to them and make sure that we can get them back into compliance on that. But otherwise, Walter, there is a shoreline protection project that might be that same, it's a separate project from PO 75. And it's getting started in a couple of weeks, and it is adjacent on the shoreline to that project as well. And Ms. Fonska, there is a bill in the legislature that would limit the time frame of a local entity to pull a permit on coastal projects. I think there was an issue that came up on a coastal restoration project where the state bid the project. The contractor went out, they created their base camp, they put materials on site, and at that point in time, the local governing authority made the claim or stepped in and said, you have not pulled a local permit and you can't do this. So there was a bill to do that, and it's something that we're tracking with the Parish Presidents Association.
Thank you.
Michael, 2023 training year, did that include any additional training for the Planning Commission or the ZBA members?
We are actually working on that. That's something we brought up with the legal department. I don't know if you remember, a year or two back, we actually put together a resolution and brought it both to the commission and showed it to the council that established both the Planning Commission and the ZBA's training schedule. So what we did was we formally adopted what the components of those things were. And we've been working with Corey to try and put together a program that satisfies all of the not in-house portions. I can sit down and talk to them about planning theory. We can meet those requirements in-house. We can explain the basics of how the ZBA operates to them and provide the planners stuff to them.
Right.
The local, the parliamentarian, the state law stuff, that's something that we've broached that topic on. We know what we intend to do in-house. I think on two different instances, we have paid for a parliamentarian to come in and do training on that and just general procedures for both boards.
Okay. I'd really like to see that effort move a little faster. We could really focus on that. I think the Planning Commission would benefit from it, and I think the ZBA both. The agendas look good, the information coming out, it's awesome. You've done a great job on that. But I do think there's some confusion sometimes with some of our commissioners. And I think basically if we had some training some in-depth stuff. You and I, we've done this 9.5 years on ZBA, and we've really moved forward. But I think that's where our next objective ought to be, is getting our commissioners up to speed so they truly understand what they're looking at. I think a lot of them do the due diligence on it, but I think we need to provide them a little bit more. So I'd like to see that. So if you could look at that for this next coming year, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you, Michael. All righty, 2024-0161, Parish President's Report and Remarks. Mr. Chu.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll get started with Lakewood Drive at US 90. So, as we all know, the Lakewood Drive project is nearing completion. I believe I did sign substantial completion on it. The dedicated left turn lane from Lakewood was added from Lakewood onto US 90. The original plan was to open the left turn lane with an updated signal. DOTD went out, looked at the equipment that was out there, said that they are looking at making improvements to the signalization of the the intersection, but that the intersection met their criteria and their standards. So they told us, go ahead and open it. And we would, or they said that they were going to open it, and we would, they would monitor the intersection. Just knowing how dangerous of an intersection that is on a normal day, the addition of cars turning left without a signal, even though it's automatically assumed that they're supposed to yield, I just thought was going to be another level of confusion. And so I contacted the DOTD the day before and let them know that I was not okay with them opening it. And I will give them credit. They said, not a problem. They'll keep it closed. And we're going to look at upgrading the signal. We do have leftover funds on the Lakewood project. So we're going to work with the Regional Planning Commission and maybe piggyback off of another parish's contract to update that signal in-house and work with the DOTD to do that. So that's going to be coming up in the next, month or so that we'll be working on that. We're going to look at both options. There is the option of putting a flashing yellow that lets residents who are in that left turn lane know that when they're turning, that they are cautioned to turn only when they can turn. The other option is potentially doing a split phase, which is what you see at Highway 90 in Paul Mallard, meaning Lakewood side would go first, they would get a red light, and then Barton side would go, and then they would get a red light, and then 90 would go again. The trade-off on that is that the people who are waiting on 90 will wait longer, and so you will see people stacking up. But the trade-off to that is it's the safer intersection. So we're looking at all the options. I've got Miles and Mike both looking at what different options we could employ there, and we are going to open the intersection when we feel like it's safe for our residents. We don't have a picture of this, but the Lakewood sign got installed today as well, so we're glad to see that happening. And we are going to make sure that those detour signs get taken down very soon. Next, we had the West Bank Bridge Park Phase 1 ribbon cutting. On Thursday, April 25th, we celebrated the overhaul of Fields 1 and 2 at the West Bank Bridge Park. Turf infields, grass outfields, new backstops, dugouts, fencing, scoreboards, LED lighting have been installed on 2 fields, plus 2 new tennis courts and 4 new pickleball courts have also been installed. Additionally, new perimeter fencing around half of West Bank Bridge Park has been added. I don't know if y'all saw, but I think they're kind of finishing up on the River Road side today. This project would not have been possible without generous donation from Dow, as well as state tax money that was secured for us by Senator Gary Smith and Senator Greg Miller. We look forward to replicating these renovations at the East Bank Bridge Park. We're hoping to be out to bid by the end of June or early July this year to upgrade fields 3 and 5. To upgrade fields 1 and 2 at East Bank Bridge Park, and then we'll return to finish up 3, 4, and 5 at the West Bank Bridge Park. 2024 Bayou River District Senior Games. Parks and Rec hosted 134 seniors from 6 parishes on April 25th for the Senior Games. Thanks special thank you to Lacey Morris for coordinating this event. The oldest athlete was 92 and he medaled in javelin, shot put, and discus. Our St. Charles Parish athletes took home 51 medals, and we had a first-place team for beanbag baseball. Beanbag baseball is our sport. We do it every Wednesday at the community center, and we ask anybody who's 55 or older to come out and participate with us. Congratulations again to all who were a part of our Senior Olympics. We cut the ribbon on the second floor courtrooms. This is an update to the DA's offices, the judges' courtrooms, the chambers, as well as improvements to bonds and fines, which is now located right outside the council chambers. And we also remediated materials from the building, as well as improved the HVAC system. A very big improvement. If you had not been in the courtroom before this, it was a very 1970s. It was original to the building, and now we have modernized it to be functional and to have 21st century technology to allow us to hold court in a more efficient way. Trash Bash 2024. We had our 16th annual Trash Bash. It was a major success this year. This year was our second year holding the event in conjunction with Keep Louisiana Beautiful and Love the Boot Week. We broke the record for participants with 1,195 volunteers registered. We as a community were able to collect 750 bags of trash and 53 bags of recyclables from off of our scenic byways, parkways, and waterways. And we worked a total of 3,585 man-hours. I want to thank all of our Trash Bash sponsors: Valero, Entergy Waterford 3, Cajun Comfort, River Birch, the VFW Post 3750, the United Way of St. Charles Parish. They all help us make this event possible by sponsoring. We additionally had a separate cleanup to kick off Love the Boot Week the day before Trash Bash, and this was Dow. They brought over 50 volunteers and covered about 4.5 miles around Bayou Gauche Road and WPA Road. They collected 50 bags of trash from the roadside. We want to thank Dow and Pontchartrain Conservancy for their efforts in doing that. So between those 2 days, over 800 bags of trash off the streets in St. Charles Parish. That same day, we went and attended the levee lift groundbreaking for Sunset Levee. The Lafourche Basin Levee District has started work on an $8 million levee lift designed to help reduce the risk of storm surge in the Sunset Levee system. The work is already underway to raise the height of the levees, and it should be completed later this year. Part of this work is the creation and compaction of the road that will lead to our future boat launch, as well as adding the fill material that will be required to bring the boat launch up to the height of the levee. So while this project is a separate project from Lafourche Basin Levee Districts, we partnered together, and thank you to the council for supporting that, and got some synergies between us to allow this project to both happen at the same time. Just full transparency, when you surcharge a piece of property, we got to bring that ground up about 8 feet. It has to settle for a significant amount of time. We will be out there periodically after that ground is surcharged. We will test for compaction. At the appropriate time, we will come back with gravel and put gravel on top of that. It will also have a compaction time with that gravel, but we should be able to launch boats from it with the gravel parking lot. And then we will come back and put the asphalt at a later date. So want the residents to understand right now that it's not going to be a gravel boat launch. It's going to be a really, really nice boat launch when it's all said and done. But we're going to take our time and do it right. And that way, it won't be like the airport in sinking. So we appreciate everybody who attended that ribbon cutting as well. All right, then we had SCP Day at the Capitol. It's been a very busy few weeks, again, since our last council meeting. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this fantastic event that my deputy CAO, Samantha, helped us organize. And essentially, this is us every year going to the Capitol and showcasing all the great work that St. Charles Parish does. We feed the legislators, their staff, the governor's staff. They all come by to learn a little bit about St. Charles Parish. And we hope that that when they're doing the business of the people at the legislature, that they remember St. Charles Parish and that they don't line item are things out of the budget. So appreciate everybody who attended that. Again, we hosted the staff and the legislators, the council members were in attendance, as well as our school board members, members from the hospital and hospital board were there. It really was a great event, and we look forward to doing that every year. Okay, we did a rabies vaccination. We do an annual rabies vaccination every year. This one was held on April 28th. We did it on both sides of the river to help pets in St. Charles Parish get their rabies vaccinations for just $10. I want to thank Gina with the animal shelter and her team for their work seeing over 300 pets on that day. We have the 4th annual Fishtat Rodeo coming up, so we want all of our residents to mark their calendars and grab their fishing poles because the Fishtat Rodeo is going to be Saturday, May 18th. We're going to have many door prizes and awards for our participants, so be sure to get registered online, www.scpparksandrec.com, before May 17th. And it is open to people of all ages. You can fish anywhere in St. Charles Parish. You can be in a boat or fish from the shoreline, and you can participate in this event. All right, we have Older Americans Month celebration. Our Older Americans Month celebration will be May 23rd from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. Senior residents are invited to come learn about the programs and services that are geared towards them and to socialize with other folks. This year's theme is Powered by Connection, and the event is hosted by Parks and Rec, as well as RSVP and the Council on Aging. And I say that all those good things are great to lead you into the last bit of bad news that I have in my report, which is that sales tax is down once again for the month of March, a nearly 13% decrease from March 2023. For the first 3 months this year, we are down 9.49%, which is over $1 million from where we were last year. So kind of a grim start to the year. I know we have the expansion at Bungie happening. We have supposedly Dow's largest turnaround ever. It's going to be their largest investment in the Dow site in the history. So I'm hopeful that things will start to trend upwards. And I know Grant will be meeting with our sales tax office on Wednesday to just get some better information on forecast. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Parish President Jewell. All right, ordinances, resolutions, introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, May 20th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers of Courthouse of Hanville. 2024-0165, 2024-0166, 2024-0167, 2024-0168, 2024-0169, 2024-0170, 2024-0171, 2024-0172, 2024-0173. Planning and zoning petitions, 2024-0154. An ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R1A to C3 on lots 3 and 4, block A1A, Good Hope Plantation Subdivision, 878 Moreno Drive, Norco, as requested by Darrell Keith and Christy Lott for Keith Lott's Plumbing, LLC. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, the request is to go from R1A to C3. The department, as well as the Planning Commission, recommended approval, noting that there had been previous commercial activity on the site prior to its demolition. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0154 is now open for public hearing. If there's someone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? All right, I will say this is in my district, and it is going to be an added plus to a building that's been empty for a long time. Definitely adding to the airline highway corridor with some of the things, so I appreciate the lots looking at that building. So, Please cast your votes for file number 2024-0154. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0155, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R1A to R2 on Lot 6A, 6B, 6C, and 6D, being a re-subdivision of Lot 6, Glaston Estates, Luling, as requested by Richard D. Whitney, Jr. for Whitney Properties 12 LLC. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, the request is to go from R1A to R2, the primary difference between those being the addition of duplexes as a permitted use. The department, as well as the Planning Commission, recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0155 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, council members, Mr. President.
Excuse me, turn that microphone on.
Sorry. There we go.
All right,
Good evening,
thank you.
council members, Mr. President, staff. My name is Richard Whitney. I'm the owner of Whitney Property Management based here in St. Charles Parish. I'm here tonight for ratification of my application to rezone 4 lots that we own in Old Luling. My application was publicly unopposed, was unanimously approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and was recommended by Planning and Zoning Department on its merits, as Mr. Albert said. Let me start with a little background about myself. I've been living in Hahnville since 1996 with my wife. We've raised 2 boys there. I've employed a lot of people in St. Charles Parish, including my very large family. Currently, 3 of my brothers live in Old Luling. My godchild lives in Old Luling. I've got nieces and nephews that live in Old Luling, and I've been involved in a lot of redevelopment in Old Luling. Most of it, I mean, all of it, I'm quite proud of. A lot of you will know the properties. I've made a lot of investment in Old Luling. I've been very bullish on it since I moved here in 1996. The reason I'm proposing rezoning these 4 lots is so that I can continue with the spirit of the New Orleans-style, historic-style houses that some of you probably recognize that I've built. In this case, I want to do duplexes. For years, our parish leaders and influencers have been very outspoken about the need for more entry-level and exit-level homes in our parish. This means homes for young couples as well as homes for those who are retiring and venturing to downsize. I've been very in tune with this, as shown by my previous projects throughout Old Luling. I'm also in tune with the unique culture of Old Luling, and in that vein, I work very hard as a participant in saving and redeveloping the old St. Anthony Catholic Church on Ellington. As you know, it's a beautiful wedding venue now. The St. Charles Parish Master Plan use plan specifically calls for the area of our property as low to moderate residential. The very first sentence reads, and I quote, "Single-family detached dwellings, semicolon, attached dwellings such as duplexes, patio zero lot line homes, and townhomes," end of quote. This is our adopted and supposedly to be implemented land use plan. I'm complying with this land use plan. I'm working to solve our unaffordable housing crisis. I'm working to help solve the unaffordable property insurance crisis. Not everyone can afford to buy a home in these environments. Frankly, I'm not sure how some people are able to feed their kids in this inflationary environment. I'll say this, I'll skip some of what I wrote here because I wrote it a little bit perturbed, but I lived in duplexes. I don't think I hurt the parish in any way, shape, or form. I don't intend to do anything to hurt Old Luling. I bring families to the community, young families with children. I think, you know, what I'm proposing is not going to hurt anything in the parish. You're likely to hear a lot of objections tonight. I would just ask you get to the bottom of the objections. It's not a bar room. It's not a massage parlor. It's not flooding. It's none of these things. It's simply me wanting to invite 8 more families to Old Luling. And I'll do it tastefully in a quality way that's not going to hurt anybody. That's it. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Appreciate it. File number 2024-0155 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. Blake Commerdale. I live at 113 Antoine Lane.
Yep.
and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'll be directly impacted by this as I live on the main street that this would be built on. I'm a teacher by trade. My wife is a doctor, a pharmacist. As I was walking around to get the residents' opinions, there are engineers, scientists, other teachers, business owners, police officers that live here. We choose to live here because it is a little bit slower. There's less traffic. There's a certain charm to living in Old Luling that we're proud to live here for. As I was walking around, we got over 80 signatures for residents, along with 100% of the people that will be directly impacted by this, which would be Lucen Lane, Antoine Lane, Ristroff. As you can see, we do come with a crowd also of people that are going to object to this, whether they speak or not. Now, I mentioned that I live on Antoine Lane. A lane is a very skinny road. It cannot even allow 2 cars to pass at one time when we have the current residents living on that street now. Walking with my daughter to play on the street or ride her bike or trying to teach her how to ride her bike, even with the residents that we currently have now, we have to either pull into somebody's driveway or we have to step in the grass. As mentioned earlier, this will add 8 more families to a lane. 8 more families that are going to be using this lane multiple times a day when the residents there are already going to try to be using it with their family. I'm also going to hold up a picture here. It's the zoning map of the area. As you can see, it is already zoned as R1. This is going to completely change, or it's going to be one little spot in the neighborhood of R2. Many people are also worried about the drainage that this is going to have. The rainstorm that we had the other day, where it rained upwards of 7 or 8 inches, caused many houses to almost flood. My house drains back and in towards the railroad track, and I've seen rain there holding that I've never seen before. We was also looking at the Paul Mallard beautification. We're going to spend many tax dollars to try to do that, and then we're going to go just 1 block away, and we're going to start to change the culture of Old Luling. Many people have been living here for upwards of 60, 20, 30, and 40 years. I've only been living there 3. My wife has lived there for over 20 years. The people that live in this neighborhood that call this place home, we want you guys to vote against this. Thank you. And
Thank you. File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. Does anyone would like to come up and speak regarding the item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Gwen Growl Doherty. I live at 129 Ristroff Street. I have lived in Old Luling my entire life. I echo much of what Mr. Commodore just said. Excuse me. My main concern is safety. You're going to add 8 housing units right there. That's a minimum of 2 cars each. So we're looking at 16 additional cars. What happens when they have a celebration, one of these people? Where are they going to park? This is a 1-lane street. Where are they going to go? So that's all I have to say. I'm opposed to this for safety concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Again, file number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Emmett Johnson. I live at 212 Luling Avenue. My wife and I own the house next door to the property that is being proposed for the rezoning. We strongly oppose the rezoning of this property for many reasons, but some of the main reasons are as follows. The overall measurements of the 4 lots is 226 feet by 208 feet. Each building will house 2 families. Statistically, each family has two children. That makes for at least 8 people living in one building. Each adult has 1 vehicle, not taken into consideration if the children are old enough to drive, which will add more vehicles. There will then be at least 4 vehicles per building. Multiply that by 4, and we have a whole lot of people, buildings, and vehicles on a small piece of property. Antoine Lane borders 3 of the subdivided lots and is only 12 foot wide. The average width of a 2-lane road is 24 foot wide. I tend to not travel that road due to the uncertainty if another vehicle will be coming the opposite way, causing me to utilize a resident's front yard or driveway to avoid a head-on collision. The last thing that street needs is 18 more vehicles traveling it. It's a huge 16 more vehicles traveling it. It's a huge safety concern for the residents and children that live on the street. The other lot borders Llewellyn Avenue, which has been highly traveled following the recent bridge construction. Another concern is the flow of rainwater. On April 10th, we received what most people would call a once every 5-year rain. My shed that borders the property took on water. Luckily, this time, it wasn't enough to cause major damage. Who knows when the next major rain will be, and who knows if we'll be as lucky next time. Regardless of the outcome, hopefully the developer will take into consideration the neighboring properties to help prevent a disruption in the already problematic drainage situation. In conclusion, we bought our house with the understanding that some form of single-family housing would be built on the neighboring lot. A duplex complex will not fit in our small, close-knit neighborhood. There is no other duplexes near this property, and we as a community believe it should stay that way. Not only am I speaking for myself, I'm also speaking for the 80 other petition signing residents, previous residents, or individuals that have affiliations with this neighborhood and were unable to attend this meeting. I believe there is a place in this parish designed to accommodate 4 duplexes. Unfortunately, it's not in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name's Sidney Gasson. I live at 103 Antoine Lane. I'm a long-term resident of Luling, St. Charles Parish. Basically, just to mock what the rest of the folks have said, the impacts, we feel, 8 families on a 220-foot by 200-foot lot. That's a lot of people on a corner. And it is on a small road, which is a one-lane road, a lane, which is going to be sort of what problematic, or even add to that. With that said, it could probably, I feel, and I'm not for sure because I've never done any surveys, it could even impact our value of this property or the properties that are existing. Parking, I didn't do the math. I got into this late, but I think Mr. Blake said that where would these guys park? So if you got on a 200 by 20, 200 by 20 lot, where would they park? So and I asked Mr. Whitney if I could see a plan, what it looked like, where, 2 guys parking in front of a duplex, and then right next to it, 2 more, that's 4 cars, so that's a minimum. I don't know how it's set up. There may be enough for more cars, but you can't park on the street at Antoine. So with that said, I'd pray that you guys wouldn't approve this and oppose this movement, and that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gasser. Appreciate it.
All right, and I want to thank y'all for y'all service. I appreciate what y'all do.
File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. My name's Sidney Simmons, 204 Luling Avenue. The last meeting they had where all this went down, I knew nothing about it. A lot of people in our neighborhood knew nothing about it. Put a sign this big out there to say this was going on. My house was built in 1889. I have the oldest house on Luling Avenue, and it's a nice home. And a duplex next to my house is going to devalue my house a great deal. I mean, it's just, to me, to put 4 more families in a neighborhood that you're going to take and devalue the whole neighborhood to do that one thing, it just seems to me to be counterproductive. And I don't think any one of y'all sitting up there would accept that next door to your home. I'm one lot away from this. I just put $25,000 on a new roof. And now what, I'm gonna have duplexes next to my property? I mean, I just can't see how that can help the value of my property in Old Luling. I mean, what he did with these other little houses around the neighborhood, man, look, if he wants to put 4 houses right there, I'm all for it. It looks good. That would value our neighborhood. But to go and put duplexes where you could have this one in and out, that you don't know who's going to be there. It may be old people, it may be retired people, but it could be worse. It's a lot of people to jam on a size lot that my one house is built on. So I would like y'all to consider that before you make this decision to let one property devalue the whole neighborhood. And I thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Tricia Parr at 332 Post Drive. I just feel the duplex is not going to fit the narrative of revitalizing Old Luling. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Park. File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name's Jeffrey Johnson. I live at 12567 River Road, Luling. They talked about the recent rain. I happened to be there that day. There was an awful lot of rain. I'm standing on the road looking at my son's shed, watching water come in, helplessly watching cars pass, washing more water in his shed. Nothing you can do about it. And as I'm thinking, looking at my son's shed and Mr. Whitney's property, there wasn't a square inch of property that had no water on it. It was level across from the track to my son's shed to Restaurant Street. So kind of tells me for every dump truck load of dirt that goes on that property, that's a dump truck of water that goes in my son's shed. So how do we fix this problem? Seems like a lot of times we build, we do it, and worry about the problems later. So I'd like to see it be proactive, take care of that before building start. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Can I ask for an extension now? My name is Sandy Johnson. I live at 12567 River Road, and my son, Emmett, has already spoke. He lives at 212 Luling Avenue, and when he bought that property, he was well aware that there was going to be 4 homes, and when you buy property, you look at the location, you look at the safety, you look at the way the roads are, where it's located to the bridge or work. He and his wife both work, live, and they contribute to this parish. And when they picked that house, they wanted it for those reasons. And it was already zoned R1. It was an existing zone. Don't change it now. I don't have a degree, but I do have common sense. And common sense tells me that you do not build duplex housing in the middle of a neighborhood. Thank you, and I hope you vote against this.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. File number 2024-0155 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All righty. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Skiba.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say I have received a slew of emails and phone calls ever since this passed through planning and zoning. I've received the petition and I've looked at the signatures. I went and rode by the property myself so that I could, speak intelligently on it. And I was very, very grateful that there were no cars coming down Antoine Lane when I was trying to get back out to River Road. I was very surprised at how narrow that street is. And I do understand that this petition passed the criteria, quantitatively passed the criteria through planning and zoning. But I think that we would be remiss if we didn't also look at the qualitative data surrounding this. And based on the phone calls and the emails that I have received, I cannot support this at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Given. Is there any further council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Same problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Whitney, I'd like to commend you. You have built some very attractive, affordable homes in that area. You're not prevented from building for single-family residents as it is currently zoned, and I have no doubt that whatever you build will be attractive, just as attractive as the previous ones you built. I also rode over to Antoine Lane, and as I was a quarter of a way into the lane from the Luling Avenue side, a car entered from the River Road side, and I actually had to pull into a driveway to get out of their way. So for this, planning and zoning get to look at the three criteria, but we're able to look at the big picture here. And for me, it boils down to simply ingress and egress that I cannot support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Any further council discussion? Mr. Albert, I did want to bring up a couple of points that a few people did bring up on notifications. So a lot of the emails that I got was notification problems and signage. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we changed our sign posting requirements? Did we make a change of that? From a large sign stating the purpose, intent, and hearing to a smaller sign now?
We do use a smaller sign now for a variety of reasons. The posting, basically, to follow the legal requirement, is supposed to state that there is a public hearing, where it is, and what the subject is, the details. We're hesitant to put on there because if there's a mistake, it can mess with the advertising. We basically want to say, if it's a rezoning, not all the specifics, but that it is a rezoning. The cost of the signs did go up dramatically, which is why we have smaller ones now. I do agree that the phone number that's on there is too small, so we're going to revise that, and I've already directed my staff to write a bigger outreach number on there when they're posted.
Okay, so you are aware of some of the issues and concerns residents had, and we are working to fix it. Okay, thank you. Is there any other? Public hearing is closed, Mr. Whitney.
Not a response period for that?
No, sir, Mr. Whitney, it's closed. So we are going to go to a larger number, larger information. We still have the registered letters.
Yeah, nothing's changed with the letters. I mean, there's a requirement that the properties are posted, but the specifications have not. Those aren't in code. So we can look at bigger signs in the future if that's the desire, but technically there's nothing wrong with the postings, like they're following what's in the law.
Okay. I see Mr. Oobs nodding his approval, so I know legals looked at it too. So, okay. All right, thank you. Is there any further council discussion? No further council discussion. Please cast your votes for file number 2024-0155. And that motion fails with Mr. Mobley and Ms. O'Daniels voting yea. All right, ordinance is scheduled for public hearing, introduced at a previous meeting. 2024-0137, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a change order number 2, final, for the Ellington Structure Kellogg Pump Station T-Wall Project number P080905-5F, CPRA project number BA-0244, as part of the West Bank Hurricane Protection Levy Project to decrease the contract amount by $76,103.06 and decrease the contract time by 41 days. Mr. Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you just stated, this is the final change order for the Kellogg T-wall. It's a wall that most of y'all were able to see. We are decreasing the contract by $76,103.06 and decreasing the contract time by 41 days. And appreciate your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. File number 2024-0137 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
I just want to say, Sam, great work on this project. Always good that we can continuously add to bolster our levee system, and this project is going to protect the pump station. And I know that we are committed to continuing to do all the hard projects that we can within our means, and I look forward to getting started on Cousins T-Wall next.
So do I.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Is there any other council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0137. And that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and council members.
Thank you, Mr. Sam, for all you do. 2024-0151, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the St. Charles Parish School Board and the St. Charles Parish Department of Parks and Recreation for the use of various school sites for recreational purposes. Mr. Foray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council, President Jew. Yes, this has been a long-term relationship with our school system. You actually see that we actually gave back some of our existing facilities, which Lakewood and at St. Rose Elementary, as we tried to reduce our footprint throughout the parish. We have to sustain it. We don't have the facilities to coordinate all of our programs, so it is a need for us going forward. One thing we did, we think enhances the deal, is also brings it up to vote every 4 years. So every new council and every new parish president will have an opportunity to put their eyes on it and then give their opinions about it going forward. So we'll be reducing that footprint even more as we develop Bethune Park and Narco to get rid of Narco Elementary, and then also as we eventually bring all of our soccer activities to Ashton, get rid of RJ and JB Martin, which will definitely help our maintenance department. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foray. File number 2024-0151 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dwayne and Parish President Jewell and staff, I know that y'all worked really hard on the negotiations for this, and I appreciate that. I think the product is something that is more equitable to current day status with all of the fields. And I also appreciate that you put in the 4-year timeline. I think the past agreement was, it was 10. It was too long. Things became, they changed.
Yeah, and it's ever changing.
Exactly. So great effort in this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Mr. Bouye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question for you, Mr. Dwayne. Is there someone or a group responsible for monitoring the areas as far as their responsibilities? I mean, I know surely cutting grass, but like the litter.
Yes, that's our responsibility.
Okay, and is that on a regular basis? Because I do know.
That is weekly.
Just from being from the schools, we would, find things. And is that something that is it the school responsible to contact your department if they find that it's being left?
Well, just as the agreement is a joint use agreement, I think it's jointly that we both try to reduce our trash. As being so successful in trash bashes, we got to be a community that refuses to allow litter in our community on our end and the school system's end. I mean, we're there weekly. Things happen after we're gone. If we dump on a Thursday through the weekends, usually getting some activity. And one of the reasons why we got rid of Lakewood, as you know, is the lack of access. Once safe schools came about, it got harder and harder to access that property. So things go on after hours that we don't control and the school system don't control, but we both work jointly to make the best agreement for both parties, a win-win.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Flores, thank you for everything that you have done, but I just have one question in reference to the E.J. Landry grass cutting as far as the ditch. There seems to be a between the school and between the parish as to who should be maybe spraying Roundup. So nobody seems to know who sprays it.
Yeah.
Is it us or is it the school that should be? Everything
We don't
gets cut,
do it.
but
Usually Public Works does most of the ditches here. Now, if he's not doing it, we can take it over. But you're
Okay,
talking
now I
about
just
the
wanted-
ditch beyond the football
Behind the
field?
football field,
Where the
yes.
first houses start, and it runs
Correct.
on side the playground?
right behind them.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so no one seems,
Yeah.
okay, all righty, thank you.
Mr. Jew.
I just want to thank Dwayne and the folks over at the school system for working with us on this this agreement. If you look at the original agreement that was from 2014, a lot more school sites on there. So we really did take our time and really thought about what we wanted to get rid of as far as school sites go, what we wanted to keep. And again, I think, we hope to see a lot of change over the next 4 years as far as new facilities being added. Again, one of our biggest needs, and the entire reason that this agreement even exists, is access to gymnasiums. And so we are looking at what opportunity we have to add gymnasiums, especially in the East Bank, where we're in extra need. The community center has filled a good void that we had previously on the West Bank, and now we're looking at what our opportunity is on the East Bank to add to that, just to give our folks a place to indoors to practice. I mean, practice is probably the biggest, because a lot of our teams will be practicing while we have games going on, and that's when we really get into that crunch. So we look forward to doing this, and then over the next 4 years, we're really going to be focusing on improving the quality of our parks over the quantity. And so we'll be coming to the council with some more decisions in the future and plans on how we can achieve quality over quantity, and maybe dispense some of the parks that or park sites that have little to no recreational value, which is in line with our recreation master plan.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Foy, good job on it. Definitely negotiating it, part of it. I know it's rough. Puts a big demand on your department, and I think we kind of saw that during beginning of baseball season with a few issues we had. But glad to see we're getting ahead of it and jumping on it. I can't wait to see Bethune. I really can. And I'm looking forward to the East Bank Bridge Park. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0151.
Thank you.
And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0153, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of professional services agreement with Grace Abear Curtis Architects LLC to perform architectural services for a St. Charles Parish Library Hanville branch in the amount not to exceed $387,941.00. And I believe we have Ms. Amy Duke to explain it.
Hello, good evening. My name is Amy Duke, and I am an assistant director with the St. Charles Parish Library, and my job is to oversee our branches. Leanne Benedict is our director, and she sends her apologies that she couldn't be here tonight. I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about our process. So we issued a request for qualifications for architectural services for the Hanville Branch Library project, and we received a total of 16 responses. And that was in October of last year that we did that. We initially narrowed it down to 5 firms that the library team met with, and Mike Palamone was with us for those meetings. We created a committee internally as well that participated in the interviews, and that included our library director, Leanne Benedict, myself, our other assistant director, Lauren Pitts, our Hanville Branch Circulation Supervisor, Destiny Cornell, and the St. Charles Parish Department of Public Works Parish Engineer 2, Andre Ford. The committee was unanimous in the selection of the top 2 firms, which were Grace Abear Curtis Architects and Multi Studio. The top 2 firms then presented to the Library Board of Control at a public meeting on February 20th, where the board unanimously selected Grace Abear Curtis Architect LLC. So Grace Abear Curtis Architect LLC has a great understanding of the project and what we're looking for. They discussed plans for engaging and gathering input from the community as we begin planning for this new branch. Several members of their team, including the project manager and the interior designer, are from St. Charles Parish and have close ties to the community, and they are library users. This firm has worked on several public libraries as well as government and educational facilities in St. Charles Parish and Ascension Parish. They presented a very strong plan for communicating with the library team throughout all the phases of the project that we were very impressed with. Justin Aubert, our architect, is with us as well today. So I can try to answer any questions that you might have. And if I can, I'll direct them to Justin, and Mike as well might be able to help.
Thank you, Ms. Duke.
Thank you.
File number 2024-0153 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, council discussion. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am ex officio council member that sits on the library board. I did participate in the interview process, even though I don't have a vote. I would tell you that my vote would have been for Grace Abear Curtis Architects based on the information I had in front of me as well as the interview. They knocked it out of the park. I also, their mechanical, electrical engineering firm is Huseman and Associates, which has done a lot of work with the parish, generators, and they also did the mechanical and electrical on the community center and courtroom. The second floor courtroom, right. So I know, based on history, that they have done a very good job working for our parish, and I would appreciate everyone's support on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. I did neglect to close the public hearing, so it is closed now. Any further council discussion? Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can also piggyback off of Councilwoman Fonseca. I was also in attendance at the meeting, and the presentation that Grace Abear Curtis had done, it was outstanding. So I'm also in support of this as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0153. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0156, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with Barrier Construction Company, LLC, for the Willowdale Turn Lane, project number P230801, in the amount of $389,442.70. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for the right turn lane from Willowdale Boulevard onto eastbound US 90. Barrier Construction was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder with an amount of $389,442.70, which is within our budget of $400,000. So we respectfully request that the council support this so we can move forward with this project. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2024-0156 is now open for public hearing. If anyone would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just say the dedicated right turn lane that was added to Lakewood is a very, very helpful item or feature, and I think that it's going to be a very, very welcomed addition to the end of Willowdale Boulevard. If you've ever gotten to the end of Willowdale Boulevard, there's just a little bit of space between the cars and the other barriers, and people take no time to squeeze their way right between the barriers and your car to make sure they get into that right turn lane. So there are going to be a lot of happy people who will no longer have to negotiate a tight squeeze.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jewell. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0156. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0157, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 2 for the St. Charles Parish Courthouse second floor renovation, project number GBCH 0518, to decrease the contract amount by $75,539. Mr. Dewey.
Thank you, Council. This is the second and final change order for the renovation of the second floor courthouse. It's a change order in the amount of $75,539 of credit coming back to us. There was liquidated damages of $40,000 and deleted value items of $35,539 to make up that amount. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey. File number 2024-0157 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0157. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0158, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 3 for the St. Charles Parish Edward Dufresne Community Center Ida and window repairs, project number EDCC 0322, to increase the contract amount by $17,178 and increase the contract time by 125 days. Mr. Dewey.
Thank you again, Council. And this is the third and final change order for the Ida repairs at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. The $17,178 is for some fascia that had to be replaced at the very end, and then a couple credits that we took balanced out to the $17,178. And the contract time increase of 125 days. Mainly that's from weather related because of the windows and some of the negotiation with the windows going back and forth early on. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey. File number 2024-0158 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Darren, I know the main focus of these repairs were the windows, and I thank y'all for trying to get them finally the installation right so that they won't leak. What kind of a warranty do we have now?
It's a 1-year warranty.
Okay, so I know that we're going to monitor them closely for moisture and really get on the contractor to come back out if there's any issues, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
absolutely.
Good. We spent a lot of money to try and get it corrected, so I know that you all will keep a close eye on it.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0158. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0159, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with Batco Construction and Maintenance Incorporated for the St. Charles Parish First Floor Courthouse renovation, project number NOGBCH023, in the amount of $1,965,000. Mr. Dewey.
Great, thank you, Council. This is for the first floor renovation. We came to you guys in August of last year with the architect contract. So this is the construction contract moving forward for the first floor renovation, which will include the clerk of court's office, some of the lobby, and the sales tax office, which we know as the sheriff's office, as well as that hallway going down by Veterans Affairs in the back. It's about a 6-month project, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey. File number 2024-0159 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0159. And that motion passes unanimously. Resolutions, 2024-0162, a resolution endorsing a waiver from Appendix C subdivision regulations of 1981, Section 3, geometric standards, C lots, 1 size, as requested by Tracy and Monica Trepanier. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This application is actually from last year. It's been on hold for a while. I got some paperwork straight. If you all approve it, it will create a lot without frontage, but that is going to be remedied because we already have an administrative re-subdivision in our office waiting to be signed that will consolidate it with the neighboring property that has frontage, which was always the intent. It was just a procedural set of hurdles the applicant had to get through.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0162 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Michael, all of this is spelled out in the order, correct, the waiver? I thought I read that, so thank you for working on that. Appreciate that. Awesome. Any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0162. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0163, a resolution endorsing a waiver from Appendix C subdivision regulations of 1981, Section 3, geometric standards, B blocks, 3 arrangement, as requested by Louis M., I'm going to butcher this, Anadolsky, for Ashton Plantation Estates, LLC. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This would normally be a minor subdivision, but they are actually constructing the street in front of these 3 lots that will be dedicated and turned over as in any major subdivision process. The reason it has a waiver is normally there would be a required turnaround at a dead end, but this is not a permanent dead end. This is a temporary stopgap measure until they continue on with the next phase of the development. So the planning department as well as Public Works had no objection to the temporary dead-end situation, which will be resolved in the next phase of Ashton.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0163 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, Troy Bellinger, 204 East Bayou Road in Thibodeau, on behalf of Ashton Plantation Estates. As Mr. Alpert mentioned, we are requesting your consideration on approving the waiver for the required concrete cul-de-sac turnaround as required by the ordinance. As Mr. Albert mentioned, this stone turnaround is temporary in nature. If you can see by some of your attachments, we do have plans to go ahead and move further along as time warrants. The driving force in just creating these lots was just an effort done in good faith for the resident at the corner of Moonlight Cove and Cove Point Lane. If you're familiar with the area, right now they actually have to go around a barricade to get on the side of the house. So we're doing this also in safety and aesthetic reasons. The thoughts were that we would have completed this addition prior to or immediately after that last phase, but due to the moratorium and there's also the lessening demand of a 70-lot development at this time, we want to go ahead and appease the resident and just to go ahead and have it look better. And also, too, it will give the parish a hard surface access to the sewer lift station that is right on there, on that property as well. So, like I said, we ask for your consideration on such, and then it is, like I said, temporary in nature, and it eventually will be a concrete drive and street once the next development phase commences. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bellinger. File number 2024-0163 is open for public comment. Does anyone else would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public comment is closed. Council discussion. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Belanger, did I say your name right? Can you come up? What is this?
I butchered it, so it don't matter. Sorry. I apologize.
It depends on what part of the bayou. Some people do pronounce it that way.
Go ahead and say it again for us.
Bellinger.
Bellinger.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. It's that I know a Belanger. That's what it is. Do you have an estimated time that you're going to continue on with the rest of this area's
On this phase,
development?
not at this time. We're really not sure. Like I said, demand does not really warrant economically at this time. We are looking at some possible other things in Ashton that may come, hopefully, in front of you guys in the near future.
That was kind of linked to this. Are
Right.
we talking about the front
Yes, ma'am.
garden?
The
home?
patio home.
Patio
yes, ma'am.
home. Okay, thank you. That's kind of what I was looking to
And
hear.
our thoughts are to get this done because, like I said, it's only 3 lots. It says 4 lots, but part of it includes a large green space that will be donated in favor of the homeowners association that's near as well. But this is just part of it that, in hindsight, probably should have been done at the completion of that phase, but it's just the timing kind of said, let's do this now.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Brouillet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to clarify, so there will be nothing built on the, those 3 lots at this time?
No, ma'am. We will have those available for sale for new construction. So that all is the thoughts that to have those available for sale, but like I said, the main driving force is to help out that corner lot. And the only way of doing such is to create frontage and infrastructure, roadway and additional utilities to bring this to that side. We'll even actually be placing the driveway for them as well as the sidewalk as part of this project.
And I do want to thank you on behalf of the resident for taking care of that finally, so that they have a cement driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0163. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Bellinger, appreciate it. Appointments, 2024-0147. A resolution appointing a member to the Hospital Service District Number 1, Parish of St. Charles. The council chairman will accept nominations to the Hospital Service District Number 1, Parish of St. Charles, to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. James Jake Lemon, a 6-year term to begin May 22nd, 2024, and expire May 22nd, 2030. I have nominations. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to nominate Mr. James Jake Lemon.
Mr. James Jake Lemon. I need a motion and a second to close nominations. I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca, second by Ms. Wilson. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that passes unanimously. 2024-0148, a resolution appointing a member to the Hospital Service District Number 1, the Parish of St. Charles. The council chairman will accept nominations to the Hospital Service District Number 1, Parish of St. Charles, to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Timothy J. Vial. 6-year term to begin May 22nd, 2024, and expire May 22nd, 2030. May I have a nomination, please? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to nominate Mr. Timothy J. Vial.
Mr. Timothy J. Vial. I need a motion and a second to close nominations. I have a motion by Mr. Brouillet, second by Mr. Carmadell. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0149, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as the District 4 representative. The council chairman will accept nominations to the St. Charles Parish Zoning Commission from the District 4 council member to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Jack Keene, 4-year term to begin May 31st, 2024, and expire May 31st, 2028. Mr. Carmadell, do you have a nomination?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to nominate Mr. Jack Keene.
Mr. Jack Keene. All righty. I need a motion and a second to close nominations. I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca, second by Ms. Wilson. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0150, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as the District 6 representative. The council chairman will accept nominations to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission from the District 6 council member to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Carmine Fangelica, 4-year term to begin May 31st, 2024, and expire May 31st, 2028. I am nominating Mr. Carmine Fangelica for another term. I need a motion and a second to close nominations. I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca, second by Mr. Brouillet. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that passes unanimously. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings. Community Action Advisory Board, Wednesday, May 8th, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. There's a public hearing on the HUD application, Preserve and Reinvestment Initiative for Community Enhancements, Thursday, May 9th, 2024, 5:30 in the council chambers. The Communications District, 911, Monday, May 13th, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. The Lafourche Basin Levee District, Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, at 6 p.m., the Lafourche Basin Levee District Office, 21380 Highway 20 in Vacherie. The Board of Adjustments, the ZBA, Thursday, May 16th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The Pontchartrain Levee District, Monday, May 20th, 2024, 6 p.m., Pontchartrain Levee District Headquarters Complex, 2069 Railroad Avenue in Lutcher. Legislative Committee meeting, Monday, May 20th, 2024, 5 p.m., the council chambers. The discussion will be regarding the corridor overlaying zone. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, May 20th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. Adjournment. I need a motion and a second to adjourn. I have a motion by Ms. Skiba, second by Mr. Brouillet. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that motion passes unanimously. On behalf of the Parish Council, we're wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day. Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned.